right, so dish number 2 today is a pork and prawn larp. So a larp is think of it as a dip almost. So served with lots of raw vegetables. So it'll be a relishy sort of number. Again, it's a beautiful share dish. Put it in the middle of the table. We're going to serve it with some cucumbers, some wombok, which is a Chinese cabbage, some whitloaf. But again, it can be any sort of vegetables that you fancy. So we're going to cook it in the induction wok here today. These woks, we had them in our Sydney pop-up restaurant that we did. I was very sceptical, to be honest, about these things, but they're amazing. They hold their heat really well. Often when you're cooking in a wok, I find at home you don't have enough gas sort of pressure to maintain the heat, so it'll get really hot. You'll dump your stuff in and it'll all be gone, and you're not stir-frying anymore, you're sort of stewing. Whereas these induction woks, they just really hold the heat, so you don't have that going on. Again, this is a really simple, paste. This can be made in bulk and frozen and used at your leisure whenever you fancy. Fresh chilies, shallots, lots of garlic, gappy, which is a shrimp paste. It gives that real sort of authentic, smelly tightness to it, which it is quite offensive at first, but once it's all mixed together with everything else, it's quite a lovely flavour. So quite a generous amount of, we're using peanut oil. You can't really use olive oil or something like that. The flavour, it'll burn and you'll get a really bitter flavour, so just a neutral sort of oil. We're going to get this paste in. So there's quite a lot of paste here. It is quite a fresh paste because it's the fresh chilies and garlic and shallots. There's a lot of moisture in there. So it looks like a lot, but by the time we fry it out, it'll evaporate down. The flavours will intensify. And yeah, it'll just sort of go really lovely with this pork and prawn. So this paste does take a little while to fry out, but sort of at the start a lot of liquid will come out of it, and now you can see it's that's evaporated and it's really starting to fry out. Again, some cucumber, nice big thick slices. And the wombok. So you could substitute any sort of cabbage. I quite like this Chinese cabbage. It's really crunchy, really tasty, and
gives it a nice texture and contrast.
Yeah, definitely. So we'll just cut the core off here. Again, all of this waste product, everyone, I reckon, at home, if you've got the space, should definitely have a compost bin or a worm farm. Like I mentioned in Silo, all of our organic waste gets put into a food dehydrator. It can turn 100 kilos of waste into a kilo of fertiliser in 6 hours. So we're keeping our farmers really happy by giving them plenty of compost for their farms. So we've got some pork mince, again being really conscious of where we're sourcing this sort of stuff from. You want to use organic where possible, otherwise just if a lot of producers can't afford to get the certification for organic or biodynamic or whatever it may be, so if you know where it's come from, how it's been produced, that's good enough. In the restaurant we try to use organic stuff as much as we can, but with organic, the tag organic comes a higher price tag generally, so if you know where it's come from, how it's been produced, but it doesn't always need to have that. Okay, so that paste, it's sucked up a lot of that oil, so I'm going to put a bit more in now. We've got the pork mince, going to go straight in. And we really want to just make sure we break up this mince, so it's going to take, a nice bit of stirring, but if we don't really break it up, you'll just get really big chunky bits, which isn't what we want here. But as you can see, this wok hasn't lost any temperature through this process. It's stayed really hot and it's stayed really even. One of the great things about cooking on the induction is that you don't have the flames coming up the side of the pot or wok or whatever it may be, so you don't have the edges catching and burning. So just with your spoon, just keep chopping into this. So just give that a minute, we'll come back to these veggies. So we're just going to peel all this apart. Just going to whack these on here. cheese whitloaf. So this is a really sort of, I think it's quite an impressive little dish you can put together for a dinner party. It's not a lot of work, but you know, it looks great, it tastes great. I think it's quite an impressive one. So again, just keep stirring this. It's really developing all the flavours from the paste to getting into the pork there. It's frying nicely. The paste is starting to caramelise a little bit just because the shallots and garlic have quite a high sugar content naturally. So as the liquid cooks out, they'll start to fry and get really sort of sweet and get that sort of nutty flavour, which is what we want. So again, just make sure we're chopping into this. Okay, so this the pork's about 3/4 cooked. So at this stage, we're just going to add some of these prawns. Again, just to be really conscious that you've got Australian prawns. You know, it's a shame, but it's really common that prawns you buy in the supermarket or not so great fishmongers, they'll be from Vietnam or Thailand or something like that. And I don't know, it's just, we don't know where the water they've come out of, what they've been eating, the processes they've gone through. Often they'll bleach the prawns, so they keep that really white colour, which is a really odd process. I can understand why they do it, but it's no good. They won't take too long to cook. We want to keep a nice little translucent bit in the middle, so they're not too dry and rubbery. And so we'll probably take 3/4 cook them, and we'll just let it sit for a moment, and the residual heat will carry on to cook the prawns. You can chop the prawns up so it's a bit more binds together nicely, but I kind of like the contrast of getting a nice bit of cucumber, having a prawn, and then the porky rally sort of just dresses it together. Okay, so we'll turn this heat off now. And again, not being too fussy with plating, we're just going to go straight in. Can I get the wrong back, please?
Sorry, what did you do?
Oh, it's that wok for the next one. Okay, so we've got some roasted rice powder here. So this is just jasmine rice being toasted till it gets a little bit of brown colour to it. This will just give a really nice little crunch and a sort of, again, another sort of nutty flavour. So we're just going to get that on the top. And this will never go off. You can just do a batch of this, and it's really nice to throw through salads, any sort of salads, on top of some curries is really nice as well.
So you toasted the rice, did you say?
Yeah, toasted, yeah. So it gets a little bit of brown sort of colour. It will carry over when you toast it, so you don't want to take it too far. And just sprinkle that over the top.
Fabulous.
In the bowl, and again, we're just some lovely, some fresh herbs. We've got some Thai basil, a bit of coriander. We'll go a little bit of mint just for some freshness. And then from there, the idea is that you can sort of have a spoon. There we go. Take a bit of cucumber, grab your prawn, get a bit of the mince on there, and then it's a nice little canapé sort of snack. It's one of my favourite things to eat is this sort of food. So it is quite labour intensive, but it's one of those things that if you're home on the weekend on a Sunday, you've got a bit of time, it's really nice to spend an afternoon in the kitchen as authentically as you can.